and Keith's daughter, Susie. The sudden loss of my father shocked us all. Life without my dad will never be the same. For some of us here today, he was and will remain a guiding light on our journey through life. My father led a very full life. I'm going to assume you've all read his obituary, and I don't need to tell you his life story or recite lists upon lists of accolades, adventures, and achievements. But I will tell you a little about the last 6 months of his life and who my dad was to me. 6 months ago, my dad returned from Mexico to spend time with his brother and to be there when he passed in early July. This experience impacted my dad in a way that seemed to give him a sense of clarity and peace about his own life. And my dad spent the next 4 months while he remained here in Nova Scotia, spending as much time as possible with his family, ensuring we all knew how important we were to him. And if you know my dad, you know he had many stories to tell and was always so interesting to talk to. A little over a year ago, my dad's hearing declined even worse, and he was having a hard time communicating on the phone because he couldn't hear. I was missing my conversations with him, and I suspect many of you were as well. While Mom and Dad were visiting this summer, Dad would regularly drive me to work in the mornings, so we'd use my car for the day. I loved these morning drives. I could talk to my dad, he could hear me. He had a confined space with just the two of us. And then 2 months later, he got his hearing aids, and he didn't stop talking. It was freaking awesome. He told me so many stories over the summer of his childhood and growing up, experiences he had, some of which I really probably don't think I need to hear. Places he'd been, lessons he'd learned, and helpful suggestions and direction. Dad's stories and accomplishments were crafted from experience, knowledge, and extreme creativity. My dad could make things beautiful the very first time he ever tried to do something creative. This past summer, he told me he thought he was at his peak of creativity when he was in his mid-40s, around the time he started making ice sculptures. Something he'd never done before. He just figured he could do it and created beautiful birds, animals, and sculptural displays for hundreds of people at many events. No experience, just decided, I think I'll carve a cardinal at ice. And he did. And that's pretty much who my dad was. There were no challenges he could not overcome, and if he put his mind to it, he could accomplish it. His direction was always that regardless of the situation, you have to accomplish at least one thing every day. And when you stack all of the things that my parents were able to accomplish in the run of a day together, you get an incredible life like my father lived. Obviously, I think my dad was I think my,
Take your time.
it's the computer, not me. Okay. So obviously, I think my dad was the best person I've ever known. He loved his family unconditionally, and we were his greatest accomplishments. Dad was always following his dreams, and together he and my mom made so many of them come true. My dad was comfortable taking risks, and he liked to live with one foot a little over the edge at all times, but not enough to fall. My father was patient, kind, and tolerant, and he had an amazing ability to make people feel special. He could be off the cuff and inappropriate, but he never meant anything with any malice, and it was all part of his, at times, very sick humor. And FYI, all of these things could make him an excellent babysitter. Unless, of course, you are concerned about mess, broken items, injuries, or just knowing maybe where your child or dog is. Zaya, my 8-year-old, who was 7 this summer, was thrilled to tell me how Granddad had been letting her sit in the front seat of the car all summer when I wasn't around. Although I really wasn't surprised, because some of my favorite memories are a kid were doing things with Dad, like donuts and snowstorms, and then him saying, "Well, don't tell your mother." my dad felt most at peace when his family was all together. And he would really love what we're doing here today, but not for this reason. As I muddled through this, a friend reminded me that I can still talk to him. And I'm trying. My dad was a calm in every one of my storms. He was my friend. He loved my brother and I and our children unconditionally, always encouraging us to be the very best versions of who we were supposed to be. Now, Frank. Next I'm going to invite Frank Organ up to play his musical tribute to my father. Frank and my dad have been friends forever. They were friends long before Mom and Dad. So he's been in this picture a very long time. Dad loved Frank. Their very special relationship took them on many journeys together, from one end of Canada to the other, more than once. They shared so many stories, many of which so many of you here were a part of over the years. Thanks, Frank, for being here. You are very special to my mom and all of us.